Today is 24th of October 2023, and this will be our third video on bearings, and we want to look at more examples today. We've done the first video, which was an introduction, and then we went on yesterday's video to do some examples. Okay, I ask you to go back and redo those examples yourself and put them to scale. Okay, because I was trying to use the protractor. I think one or two of them work, but the other one, I think, were short by a few degrees. Okay, so please, if you can look at them, it will be of great help to you. Before I start the lesson, thank you very much to everyone who has been supporting our platform by watching it, subscribing, sharing, liking, and following. Okay, I really appreciate it a lot. Okay, but if you haven't subscribed yet, or you are not following, or you haven't shared our videos, please can you like them and or commented? Can you do that for us? Okay, there is somebody out there who is struggling with their maths and may have their Gcse next year, and there's a lot of topics we've covered which can help them maybe get from a D to a C, or a C to a B, or a B to an A, or an A to an A star. Okay, if you know somebody, let them have a look. Okay, because it might help them. There is no point not saying, and then after they didn't do well, then you are like, oh, there are videos here that could help you. Okay, please share. Don't keep it to yourself. I normally write, please follow my notes/scripts. Okay, for instance, yesterday, I think two of the examples, when I was trying to use the protractor, the measurement wasn't quite, because we're trying to draw to scale and we're doing bearing examples. Okay, so if you follow my notes, I will say it there. Okay, and I ask you to go and plot it. The diagram will look the same, but all you need to do is to adjust the thermometer, the protractor. This one, you could adjust it maybe by 1 or 2 degrees, and then you get the actual line. Okay, so I could use your help on that. Go and do it yourself so that you understand that you know how to do it, so that when you get it in an exam, you can do it and get the marks. Bearing questions are easy, and you can get easy marks. There is no much calculations apart from a few examples. If you can figure out the drawing, especially the ones to scale, it's easy to get the marks. Okay, now beware of scammers. Please don't fall for them. Okay, please, not on this platform. If they ask you for donation from this platform, it's not coming from me. Okay, thank you very much. Now, recap. we looked at bearing examples, okay, and I've said this already, as if you could go and plot these examples. I've said it to you. Okay, please refer to the last video. Okay, don't watch one video in abstract. So if we've done like 5 videos on bearings and you don't understand them, we normally start from the basis. So watch all the 5. Start from the basis. Help yourself understand the basic principles. Maths is like a building block. So if you can understand it, then you'll be confident to answer any question. But if you're just looking at the question and say, oh, I don't get it, you need to help yourself. Okay, I've given you everything that you need. Okay, so if you don't understand it, then I don't know, if you have a big banquet in front of you and you don't even want to eat, then nobody can force you to eat then. Okay, so please help yourself. Now, example here. Okay, so we are going to look at more examples today. Okay, so example, O is due north of P. Okay, so O is due north of P. So this is our O and this is our P. Okay, so O is north of P there. But the bearing of Q from O is 295 degrees. So that is Q and then that is O. So from O, you need to go all the way around 295 to get the bearing of Q. So Q will be any point on this line. We don't know. So we need to draw 295. And as you can see, I have explained the 4 quadrant. So 295, that will be 270. So 295 will be in the 4th quadrant here, that one here. So if I have 270, okay, I'm going to try, because today I try to get my scale right. Okay, so if that is 295, okay, that will be 270 here, 280, 290. So 295 is in the middle here. So from here all the way, that one here, all the way around is 295. So from the origin, we draw a line. P from Q is 330. So we always draw from the north. So that is P. We say Q is on any line here. So now if this is P here, okay, and we want 330, it will also be in the 4th quadrant. Okay, so now from here all the way there is 330. So from 270, so let's check again, because I try to get things up to scale today. Okay, which I did try yesterday, but I really don't know what happened. Okay, so that is 270 here. Okay, so now 280, 290, 300, okay, 300, okay, 310. Let's do it again, please. 270 on this line, 280, 290, 300, 310, 10, 3, 20, 3, 30 there. Okay, so that is our line 330. So from here we draw a line from P till it cuts this line here, and where they intersect is our Q. Okay, this is what we're trying to do yesterday. Okay, so that is another type of bearing. Now with the starter, I'm just going to go over the bearings again. Okay, so we'll recap on basic bearing. It's just a reminder. We measure bearing clockwise from the north. So if this is our north, okay, it's in the first intro. So bearings start from here all the way round. Okay, so this is 0, 0, 0 degrees, 0, 90 degrees, 0, 180 degrees, 270 degrees, and back to 360 degrees. So it's measured clockwise. That is clockwise. Okay. Bearing angles are always written in 3 figures. So if you have 18 degrees, you write it as 0, 1, 8 degrees. If you have 33 degrees, you write it as 0, 3, 3 degrees. If you have 92 degrees, you write it as 0, 9, 2 degrees. If you have 117 degrees, it's 3 figures, so you leave it as that. Okay. If you have 257 degrees, it's 3 figures, so we leave it as that. If you have 351 degrees, it's 3 figures, so we leave at that. As you can see, it's up to 360 degrees. Okay, because if you do a full circle, it's 360 degrees. You can't get a bearing of 470 degrees. Okay, because in a circle, you can't get that. If you don't understand that, go and think about it carefully. Okay, now today we are going to look at more bearing examples. Okay, so the first example I have here is O is due north of P. Okay, so O is north of P, that is O, and that is P. Okay, we don't know the distance. At times you might be given a distance to scale, so they might tell you it's 50 kilometers and 1 centimeter is 10 kilometers. So you will have to do 5 centimeters apart. Okay, and they'll measure it to make sure that it is. In this question, I haven't been told, so I can choose any point to the north. So O is due north of P. Okay, some of these questions and this wording, the way they word the questions, the more you practice, the more, so when you see it, you'll be like, oh, I know this one, I can do it. So O is due north of P. The bearing of Q from O is 187. So now the bearing of Q from O, so from O we need to measure from the north clockwise, and it's 187. So we know this is 180, and that little one here is 7 degrees. Okay, I measured it, so it's 7 degrees. Okay, So that's 187 degrees, and that is our line here. Okay. Now, Q from P is 296 degrees. Now, this is from here, that is our north, all the way around to 180, all the way around to 270. 270 plus 26 will give us 276 degrees. So this is our second line here. Okay, so the first line is that way, the second line is that way. The intersect Q here is the point we are looking for. So draw and label Q. So that is our Q here. Okay, that is our Q here. I've measured these angles. Okay, so they are right. So I'm zooming in for you to look at it. And that is the question. Okay. Now, another example, which is a bit different, but it's a bearing question. Okay. So we'll have a look at it. Now, work out the bearing of S from T. Okay, the answer for the bearing of S from T is different from T of T from S. I will explain. Now, this is the question. Okay, straight away, two parallel lines. Okay, and we've done C angles. So we are going to use it here. Sorry. We've done C angles. So we are going to use C angles here. Okay. And we know that C angles, this angle and this angle here, will add up to 180. Okay. We've done supplementary angles, F angles and C angles. We said C looks like this. Okay, so it can be in any shape, but that is a C angle, and it's two parallel lines. Okay, so we are going to use it to solve some of these questions. Okay, work out the bearing of S from T. Now, this is S, okay, and that is our T, okay. Now, I was given just 0.72 here, okay. I wasn't given this, so I had to work this out, okay. I know that if I go all the way around, it is 360, but before then I've been asked to work out the bearing of S from T. Okay, so now what I need to do first is to find T, the angle at T. Now I was given just the 72. So you see, angles or supplementary angles add up to 180. Okay, so if I add this 72 I've been given to 108, I get 180. So the angle here is 108. Okay, or if I subtract 72 from 180, I get 108. So straight away, the bearing of S from T is 108. So this is my north. If I go clockwise there, so I've just passed the second quadrant, I'm in the third quadrant, and I draw my line, that would be my S. Okay. but I use supplementary angles together. So the bearing of S from T is 108. Now let's look at the other side. Okay, what is the bearing of T from S? So now we want the bearing of T from S. So here S will be our origin. So now S is north. We know that the angle here is 72 and angle at the point is 360. So if we want to go all the way around, that is 360. Okay, so now we take 72 degrees or 072 degrees from 360 and we have 288 degrees. So now the bearing of T from S will be 288 because we start from the north, go all the way clockwise to this line and straight to T. Okay, so that is our first example. So I've showed you the bearing of S from T there, which is that, and the bearing from T of T from S, which is that one there. And then solving it, I use supplementary angles because this angle and that angle are C angles and they are parallel lines, and if we add them up we should get 180. Now another example, look at the diagram. Okay, at times they might give it to you in a word form and then you might have to draw and make sense of it. Okay, but I have drawn it out for you. Okay, find the bearing of T from S. Okay, so again, look at T and look at S. Okay, you want the bearing of at T from S. Okay, now again, look at it carefully. You've been given this, which is 0.6 and you know it's in the first quadrant. So what do you add to 62 to get 90? 28. So straight away, the bearing of T from S is 0 to 8 degrees. Remember to leave your answer in 3 figures. So this is the north. Okay, I've just extended it a bit. So you move from here 28 degrees. If you add it to 62, then that will give you 70. So that's why we got 28 here. In the same vein, what is the bearing of S from T? Okay, so the bearing of S from T. Now, this is 62. We've been given that because we use that to find the 28, the first part of the question. And we know that these two angles are supplementary angles. If I add them up, it should give me 180. So 62, when I subtract it from 180, I have 118. But I have to measure from the north. Okay, look at what we did, our first video, and the starter I just did with you. So the first quadrant is 90 degrees. If I add it to 118, I'll get 208. Okay, so my bearing starts from here, 90, 118, and then I draw my line to meet S. So my bearing of S, okay, from T, okay, T now is my reference point, is 208 degrees. These questions are not difficult. You just have to understand what they are asking you to do. Okay. This is the solution I did. Okay. So I use supplementary angles to find these two angles. That is 90. This is 90 degrees. So if I take 90 out of it, that is 28. And that was what I used to solve the question. Okay. So that is what I've just expanded here. Okay. So the bearing of T from S is 28 degrees, and the bearing of S from T is 208 degrees, and that's my diagram. The one I've circled wasn't given. This one I had to do it myself, 90 degrees. The first, each quadrant is 90 degrees. Okay, so as you go along, you add them up. Okay, watch the introduction video to help, and watch today's starter as well. It will help you a lot. Now, let's look at the third example. Find the angle of or bearing at A from S. That is our diagram. Okay, the bearing at T from S. So we have 2 points again. Okay, so now we want the bearing at T here from S. Okay, now we need to measure from the north clockwise. Okay, we've been given this angle here. So this is 61 degrees. Now if I go all the way around and back here is 360. Okay, so if I take 061 from 360, I'm left with 299. So my first answer, my bearing at T, that one, from S, I have to go all the way around here, and then my line to T, which is 299 degrees, is in 3 figure. I measure from the north clockwise. So that is my example. Now the bearing of S from T. Okay, so now the bearing of S. Now S is here, and that is the north. So S is in the second quadrant. It's past 90, and it's between 90 and 180. Okay, so if this one here is 61, using against C angles or supplementary angles, these two angles should add up to 180. So if I add these two angles, or if I take 180 from this angle, 61 here, I'll get 119 degrees. So the bearing of S from T, so that is T from T. T is our reference now. Here is 119 degrees there. Okay. So that is what I do. I use supplementary angles. It adds up to 180. Okay, so after finding 61, I can find 119, and then whichever one they want me to find, I use it to solve. And you can see that the bearing at T from S is 299 degrees, and the bearing at of S from T is there. So if they ask you one of them, you should know what they're asking for. This is the diagram you've been given, and you've just been given this 61 degrees. Okay, so you should be able to use supplementary angles to find this angle. Now, you should be able to use 360, subtract, and know that if this small part here, because it's in the fourth quadrant, is 061 degrees, then if I move from the north all the way around here and I take it from 360, that will be my angle. And then after finding those, then you can look at the question again, see the wording, what they are asking you to do, and put the right angle. Okay, now what I have here is, I said read the question. The bearing at T from S will give you a different answer from the bearing at S from T. So if you swap the answers, even though you have a knowledge of bearing, you have swapped it and it's wrong. So with everything, because the answer is wrong, they are going to mark you down, unfortunately. Okay, these are easy marks you can get, few calculations. All you need to know is a bit of supplementary angles. Your first quadrant, second quadrant, angle round in a circle is 360. And you should be able to solve most of these bearing questions. Okay. Tomorrow, we will look at another set of bearing questions again, because I want to show you all the types that they can give you. Okay, we've looked at the one that they can ask you to measure to scale. Okay, and we've looked at the one that maybe two lines will intersect. Okay, so I've told you how to leave your answer. So if, for instance, your answer, like this one here, this should be 028. Okay, the answer should be 028, because you should leave your answer in 3 figure. It is an angle question, but it's a bearing question as well. Okay, so if you give 28 degrees, your answer is right. But if the final answer carries 2 marks, maybe you might lose a mark because you left your answer in 2 figures. Any bearing question answer should be in 3 figures. Okay. Thank you very much for watching today's video, and I'll see you in the next.